call this third and short. 3 rapid-fire questions for Rodney. We'll see how rapid we can keep it. First one reads, pick one word to describe. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back into the game to play quarterback against Las Vegas and gets the win. One word to describe the performance out of Fitzpatrick.
I would say perseverance or toughness. Yeah, I would say toughness, because think about it, Jack. Think about it. He's getting his head ripped off by a 300-pound defensive lineman. Look at it, okay? And he's still got the wherewithal, the mental capacity, still the experience to try to throw the ball down the field and complete. He already knew that he was going to be okay with the penalty. I love this guy, man. And you know what I love most about him is his humility. When they were interviewing him and, they tried to ask him some tough questions, should he start? He says, look, we trust our head coach. And whatever he decides, that's what we're going to roll with. And Tua and I, we're going to both support each other. And I think that's the reason why this has worked out so well. You look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I just listening to his interview, I just shook my head. I was like, wow, this guy is an incredible guy. I've never got a chance to meet him, but I've always been a fan of all the heart and just how tough he's been and how he can come in off the bench and, make electric plays. I've always been just an admirer of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I don't know how you couldn't be. And the mentor that he's been to Tua, and even if he's come into a game, he always just relinquishes that power of the starting quarterback position back to Tua just to make sure that he continues to build up the young man, which you got to love all those things. For me, the performance has to be somewhere between fearless and flawless. And that's when you get the best from Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I was talking to an offensive coordinator one time that had coached Fitzpatrick in Buffalo. And he said the same thing that makes Ryan Fitzpatrick one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's playing at his peak is the same thing that can make him one of the worst when he's fallen apart. And it is that he has never seen a window that he doesn't believe he can fit it into. And he's not some huge arm quarterback. I mean, this isn't some great Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes type arm, but he always believes he can fit it in there, and he never waits. There's no hesitation to him. Even into this Vegas game, I'm thinking back to the seam route where he just put 40 yards down the field in a perfect location. He gets it there because he believes he can. And then you come back with he's getting his head spun around. He completes another one down the sideline. I mean, 9 of 13, 182, and a touchdown to go get the win after you've been sitting on the bench all game. And it wasn't like Tua was playing bad. Tua was keeping him in it, playing efficient football, but he wasn't pushing the ball down the field. And as soon as Fitzpatrick came in, he brought that fearless nature to him, started pushing the ball down the field, and that's what got him the win. They had to come from behind twice to go get this thing done.
Hey, it's funny because you just answered my question, because I was going to ask you a question. It's like, as soon as he came in, what did you see from him? And that's exactly what I saw. As soon as he came down, because Tua was managing the game like we always talk about, dinking and donking, running the football. But as soon as Fitz came in, he just started slinging that thing down the field. It was really good to see. My question to you, though, I'm going to transition to my question to you is, who do you start if you're Brian Flores? Who do you start?
It's one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest quarterback calls. It's not. Historically, I'm not in on 2 quarterback systems, and I don't like it. But, man, if I'm down, I'd rather start Fitzpatrick. I'd rather play Fitzpatrick. And if I'm winning, if I have a lead, I'd rather be playing Tua. So take that for what it's worth. I think I probably would start Tua. And if I got way behind, I'd probably bring back in Fitzpatrick and see if he could go do something for me. What would you do? I have no clue. This is hard now.
No. You don't know, because I asked Coach Dungy the same thing last night, and I asked him, and he said the same exact thing. And I was wondering, because I'm like, okay, I was kind of caught up on the Fitzpatrick bandwagon, and he kind of brought me down to reality. He says, look, just like you said, he says, Tua was playing very solid football. He wasn't making a lot of big plays down the field, but he wasn't hurting them. So he was like, hey, I'm going to start Tua, and if he happens to struggle or we feel like we need a boost, we know where we can go. So I like it. I wouldn't start Fitzpatrick, but I would start Tua and allow him to come in and do his thing. If whatever happens.
I love it. All right, let's get to number 2. True or false? Travis Kelce. So he has a 44-yard lead to become the first tight end to ever lead the league in receiving. So he has a 44-yard lead over DeAndre Hopkins. Only problem is how much will he? I mean, you tell me how much he'll play. So true or false, Travis Kelce becomes the first tight end to actually get this thing done and finish out the entire season on top of the league in receiving.
I'm going to say false because I think DeAndre Hopkins, in order for them to win next week, he has to have a monster game. And they have to win. And I don't know if they need help or whatever the situation is. Let me think. Clinch playoff with a win. Yeah, they'll clinch the playoff with a win.
Yep.
But this guy is absolutely amazing. He's worked hard this entire year. If I'm Andy Reid, I don't know if I'm taking a chance of putting my big tight end out there. Andy Reid came out and talked about he's going to rest some of his veteran players. This is a guy that puts it all on the line. He sacrifices his body. He's just such a good football player, man. And I don't know if I would risk this because I like to see him healthy and fresh. I know they have the number 1 seed. Maybe he plays the first half, maybe comes out the second half. But if I'm Andy Reid, I don't know if I would take a chance on risking his health to go for a record.
You can't. And especially somebody that I think the most, if you want to get specific, he has had concussion issues in the past. And especially before a playoff push, there's no way I'm even remotely risking some sideways shot, anything that Travis Kelce could take that would, I mean, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter if he ends up leading the league in receiving or Hopkins does. Makes no difference. And this is the playoff favorite by a substantial margin, something that we've covered. And he is such a key to that. I mean, only a handful of games this year where he's exploded over 100 yards, but he's so consistent. He's always in that about 70 to 90 range where he never takes a game off, and that's how you end up hanging out right at the top of the league. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, I have a lot of respect for this man, the way he plays the game. I was fortunate enough. I've gone against Hall of Famers like Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp. The list goes on. And you think about all those great players, and they were phenomenal players. But he's a better route runner than all those guys. It's not even close. It's not even close. And you see guys jamming them. They're trying to play off. And the way he just does his routes and he pushes off and how smooth he is and everything that touches his hands, he catches. Plus, he's a really tall guy. I always say you got to double team him. I don't know if there's one guy in this league that could probably take him away. Maybe Jalen Ramsey could do a halfway decent job on him, but most linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks cannot stick this guy. He's just simply unguardable.
And you think about also how great their wide receivers are and the running backs that they can bring out of the backfield, Hilaire, Le'Veon Bell, the amount of different places that Mahomes can go with the football for the tight end to be leading not only his team, but leading the entire NFL and receiving points to how great he must be. And I think the relationship that he's developed with the young Patrick Mahomes, and they spend a whole bunch of time in the offseason, take vacations together. I think they, the couples, if you will, both of their girlfriends, now fiance, soon to be wife of Patrick Mahomes, they're all very close. So they just spend a ton of time together. And that's translated onto the field. I mean, so you have the best quarterback, the young best quarterback in the league pairing up with all the things he can do. It's a special combination, one that we'll talk about for a long time, I'm sure. Let's get to the third one. Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey today, if you could redraft it, they're both the same pick, if you will. Who would you prefer to have? You're starting your franchise there, Rod.
Well, I'm going to probably go with Alvin Kamara. And this was a tough one because I have a lot of respect for Christian McCaffrey. I played against his dad, Ed McCaffrey, who was tough as nails, was a big, long, rangy wide receiver. And he used to come and chase me and kick my butt all the time. But I would have to go with Alvin Kamara. I just think his running style, in Christians, he's had some problems with some injuries and things like that, but Alvin Kamara is an absolute stud. And to be able to get a guy like that in the third round, you don't have to spend a first-round pick on him. Yes, you made him the highest-paid running back, I think, in league history. But both these guys are outstanding. I hate questions like this, but my answer is definitely Alvin Kamara on this one. What about you?
So the reason why this question came about, and I had to ask when I saw it in the rundown, is that Sean Payton, and now it's gotten even louder, of course, but during the draft process was saying that Kamara was a better running back than Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, of course, was all the buzz. He was going to be a first-round pick. He was top of the league. Everybody was going crazy about him. But he was stuck on Kamara coming out of Tennessee. and of course was going to go much later. And now you've seen the way that this has played out. And now you have him coming off a record-setting touchdown performance game. And as great as Kamara was and has been, what always stands out to me is he's such a calm runner. He's just so calm. Everybody else looks like they're running around 115 miles per hour. And he looks like he's about 65 in cruise control, sitting back, sipping a coffee. But still, they can't tackle him. And so there's just no way to really get a hand on a guy that's that calm, and he'll stiff arm and he'll put a foot in the ground here. That's what's so impressive. But I think you have to give credit to this offensive line. So when I went back and looked at the grades of Ramczyk, Armstead, Eric McCoy, Troutman, their blocking tight end, Ruiz, their right guard, all of these guys were 80s, 70s, or 90s in run blocking grade. So that's a big reason why he's hitting that second level untouched and then able to create some of that magic that he's so great at.
Yeah, both these guys are really great players. I'm hoping Christian McCaffrey, man, just think about if they would have had him this year, as hard as Carolina plays and what Matt Rule is doing down there, building with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and all those guys. Mike Davis, he's done a really great job in place of Christian McCaffrey, but I can't wait to see this young man back on the field next year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.